Hi, thanks so much for clicking through to this video today. My name's Tash and my business is Heart and Design. Today we're going to have a go at watercolour painting this flying fairy that comes out of my book, Step by Step Fairies. It's available on Amazon or my website, but you can also get it if you sign up for Patreon for the monthly subscription fee. You get the book and then all of the videos that I do. I do a drawing video on YouTube for free that goes with the book. So every single one there will be a video for. And I then go on to do different ways of painting and colouring them. And some will be on YouTube and some will be on Patreon. So you'll be getting bonus videos if you sign up for Patreon. But you get the book as well. So yeah, so I've drawn already onto the watercolour paper the flying fairy from the book. So what you'll need today is you'll need a kneadable eraser, and in a minute we're going to push back the pencil so that we won't see so much when we start painting. You'll need some watercolour paints of some kind. It doesn't matter whether they're ones with tabs in like mine, or whether they're tubes, or whether they're watercolour pencils. You can even do that. You'll also need some brushes of varying sizes. I just kind of, because this is a small picture, they don't need to be too big. I've got kind of a middle-sized one and a really tiny one for fine details. You'll need a palette to mix your colours in. It can be anything, it just be a plate, and some water. And don't forget an old rag. You always got to have an old rag. I have it on my lap and then I just wipe it off on my lap. So what we're going to do to start with is push back the pencil as much as we can. We don't want to see too much of that, and that's what kneadable erasers are really good for. So they really push it back, but they don't take too much away so that you can't see it. So yeah, that's the first bit. What I suggest you do as well, a recommendation, is to watch the whole thing through, and then when you come to actually do it as well, you can just take it in steps, and you know what's coming next, and you can be prepared and have everything ready and know where you're going with the fine. It's always important when you're learning to know what the final destination is, to know what you're aiming for. So yeah, watch it all the way through, and then when you get to doing the final one, I think that's as best as I can get to push it back today by the normal rubber. Yeah, that's helping a bit. It really does help just to know what you're doing and why and how. It gives you the purpose of what you're doing if you know what's coming at the end. Okay, so I've rubbed everything out a bit and pushed that back so that she is not so in your face. The next thing we're going to do is mix some colours. Now, first of all, I need some skin colour. Let's get that done first. So what I do is I get some rose red, and I'll show you actually. I'll lift the palette up. So add some water. I also add some yellow ochre, and then that kind of gives us a peachy colour. And then we want to go and add lots of white. Okay, and as you can see, it starts to become a skin colour. But now we need to add more white because it's not quite there yet. We don't really want, with the darker colours, you want them to be the colours that, or rather I should say vibrant colours. That's the things you want people to look at, but her face and her hands and her feet aren't really the focus point. So we've got a little bit of skin colour paint. So we're just now going to fill in her face like so. Then we're going to do her hands. Now if you've drawn this on a separate video, if you want to see how to draw it, you'll just be able to do the same as me and follow along. I'm just drawing in her little feet. There we go. So that's it skin wise. We can't really see any more than that. Now her dress, what colour should we have her dress? I think a nice light purple, like a pastel purple. think that would be nice. So get that mixed up. So I'm just mixing here. I've got a light purple colour anyway, but I do then want to pastel it up a bit by adding a little bit of white. See how that goes. Yeah, I like that. It's a very pale, delicate light colour. I want this to be quite a delicate picture. It's why I chose to do this one in watercolours, because I felt that it fitted well. And some, you know, some of the drawings out the book fit different mediums better. But this one, I was like, she needs to be floaty and done in watercolour. Lovely. Ah, that's going down really nicely. I love that colour. That's worked well. Okay, so what I do is I don't plan these. I think personally it's really nice for you to just see how an artist would think about going about a project from scratch, from not having even thought about it. I need to get a bit of that and put it behind her arm as well, because her sleeves there, and I will make that a bit darker, but because it's behind, it will need to be a bit darker. And then you can see that creates that effect of that being behind. I'm going to go in and just put another layer down of the same colour, so that you kind of get a feeling of texture and movement in her dress. Lovely. I'm also going to do it at the top because there'll be pleats at the top. That just kind of, it will dry in like little pleat marks. And I'll also do the same up the top. So where you would normally have the pencil marks, we're trying to create that effect, but with layering the paint. You don't need to change colour or get a darker colour. Use the same one, but you're going over it again, so it's going to be darker. I like that. I'm just going to create some shadows under some of these ripples like that, and then it looks more realistic. Okay, that's her clothes done. Now for the waistband, which I think could be a little bit darker. Try that. Yeah, that's nice. Keeping it the same colour so that we don't have too many differing colours. Now I am going to go in and do her hair. I'm going to do a really nice warm brown, I think. Mix the brown up. So that's quite a nice brown actually already. Mix a couple of those browns in. Oh, that's nice. But what we're going to have to do is push it back with the white a bit. Pop a bit more in now because it's gone a bit too pale. There. I think that a little bit more and we'll be there. That's a really nice brown colour. And don't forget, best for the bottom layer to be light as you can, the right shade that you're looking for, but make sure it's as light as you can, because you can come in and darken afterwards. Okay, gone down quite nicely and gives the impression of curly hair already. Now I'm going to go in around her face and gently do the bit behind. Now when we do the second layer on the hair, we'll be making that bit a bit darker because it's the underneath. That makes sense. Okay, so that's her hair done. What I might do is just use a little bit of that just to put some shadow on her skin. And smudge it in a bit. Smudge it down. Let's water it in. I just wanted a bit of shadow there. That's good. So that will float now. That will mix in. Let's just dab it a bit. I want to get it right. I don't want to ruin it. There we are. That's fine. Okay. So let's do her wings next. Now I want the wings to be very pale blue, I think. Very, very pale and very watery and translucent. So not translucent. Let's draw those in. Just doing a first layer and then I can do the patterns afterwards. Just doing the first layer of the wings. Just a nice light transparent blue. Now I am going to go behind again, just to make those ones a bit darker. Okay, I'm just going to push that colour back into that wing, just to make it a bit darker than the other one. All right, and get that out of the light so you can actually see. So that's done apart from her facial features, which we'll do at the end. I'm just going to dry it for a couple of minutes and then we'll go on to the rest of it. Okay, so I'll just curl that back again. The heat and the wet and the heat makes the paper ripple. This is quite thick paper, so I haven't worried about taping it down, and I do like to have paper behind anyway. Right, so she's done. We're going to go on to the tree. So the tree needs to be a brown again, but it needs to be not the same colour as her hair. It needs to be a bit more pushed back. So let's go in with a really light colour to start with. Now I am going to start it at the bottom, but leaving space for where the grass is. So now I'm going to add some water and push that around. Don't want it all to be down the bottom. Right, and we'll bring it all the way up to the rest of the tree. And what we're going to do is just, that will be the first layer. Okay, so I need to go over her foot again. We've lost her foot in the tree. We don't want that to happen, do we? And just coming in. And I need to make sure there's more water in there. It needs to be a nice and watery. Too much pigment. Right. So we've come down. We've got a really nice background colour to get started on now. I just want to re-wet this edge here because I think it's too much of a sharp edge there. Don't be afraid to use your fingers when you're painting. Sometimes it's just easier. We will go back over her foot in a moment. Well, what we're actually going to do is darken the background. So now I'm going to go in with a really watery dark brown. Get that mixed in. See how that goes. More water. We don't want to ruin it by putting too much dark colour down. Dry it first, not dry it. Okay, that's nice and dry now. So now we're going to come up with that darker brown. I may have to add a little bit more colour rather than more pigment rather. Bit too much water. Okay, so we're coming in now with a completely different brown, which will just give us a nice natural feel to the tree. You don't want to have just one shade of brown. It's nice to have a mix, but be doing it roughly like this, because we will be going over and painting in a bit the patterns of the tree. But for now, we're just trying to get a barky feel, and you know, not just one colour, is it? And it's not in a nice, neat pattern. It's all over the place. So just trying to mix in and make a mess, basically. Okay, so we'll let that mix in. Now, where we lost her feet, I'm going to dry that. We're going to come in now with a really dark brown. Oh, there we are. Right, so now where we lost her foot, we really do need to come in with a darker brown and start drawing in some like chestnut brown colours and shapes, just to give the impression of a tree. And then we'll be able to see that she has a foot there. Okay. Don't be afraid about the darkness. Okay, when we come down and put the grass at the bottom, it will just feel right that the tree has like this dark colour on it. It always dries much clearer than it actually is. And so we can draw in some of those lines that we had before. Just gives the tree a bit of definition. And a feel of the shape of it and how it twists and turns. Do some of those little knots. Leave a few little marks there. And don't be too fussy about it, because it will dry. It will dry duller than it actually is. Right, we're going in for some sap green. I will add a little bit of water to it, but I do want to... No, I'm not going to do the green yet. I need to do the water first. We haven't done the water. Going to mix a blue using an ultramarine blue with some white and a little bit of green, and it's going to give us only a little bit of green, by the way. It's going to give us like an aquamarine colour, which is what we want for the water. A slightly greeny blue. Oh, got purple in it then. Oh well, never mind, it looks okay. So we're going to go in, as you can see, just going over the water and just putting that in there. You can see it's got a bit of a tinge of green to it, and accidentally purple. And the reason why I wanted to do the water first, and I was about to do the grass, is because I realised, of course, the grass is going to come in the front of the water. So we need to make sure that's down first. Now we can come in and do patterns in the water when we've finished. At least we can try and get her foot back. Put some shape back in there. There. It's kind of getting better. Looks like a foot still, roughly. Roughly. So we want to make sure that that's all filled in up to there. So the background's filled in. Now we're going to go in with the sap green. Just the sap green on its own. Quite well watered down. And we're just going to come in here and firstly just put some background colour down. It doesn't matter if it mixes in with that watercolour that we've done, but actually it's a good idea if it does. Yeah, shows where the grass is and where the water is, and it kind of just blends together. Perfect. So I'm going to give it another dry. Okay, now we're going to do the sky. So we've got a lovely sky blue here that I'm going to mix up. I am going to add a little bit of white to cool it and then water it down, and let's see what that looks like against the wings. Yeah, that's fine. Just didn't want the blue wings to then disappear into the sky colour. Oh, did I pick from the wrong colour then? Yes, I did. I picked up the watercolour. Okay, so we're just filling in the sky area. We're literally just pushing the water around at this point. In a moment, we'll be adding the leaves on the tree and the bushes behind. Oh, I've just done it again. Picking up the wrong colour. Silly me. Right, we'll just have to push that blue around a bit more. Make sure it fills in that space nicely. Push it round and it will just settle where it wants to be. Okay. Yeah. Why I left it. There we go. So we've got a nice sky blue colour as well, and all the background is pretty much filled in. Now the next job is to draw in the blades of grass. It's nice and dry down there, so I'm going to take a much more detailed fine line brush towards the end. That is what I like to do. So we get the sap green straight from the watercolour tab. They're called pans. And now I'm just going to draw in the grass. It needs a bit more water than that. I haven't watered it down enough. You don't want too much water, but if you haven't got enough, you won't be able to do what you need to do. Okay, so we're just drawing in some blades of grass. I'm going to do lots of them, but in different shades of that green. And make sure they're all sorts of different lengths and coming from all sorts of different areas. Now we can draw the darker green. It can really be much darker at the bottom of the tree because naturally it will be in the shade. So we can go nice dark green there and mix that in with the other blades. And then as we come along, we can be a bit lighter. Oops, picked up the dark again. It's fine though, because do you know what? You'll get different shades of colour in different areas. And literally just go along and draw in the grass as you see fit. Lots of different directions, thinner ones, thicker ones, shorter ones, longer ones. Go in with the dark, spread them around a bit. And what's really nice as well, just to grab a little bit of the colours that are in the rest of the picture, like there's some natural black blades of grass, because not all grass is completely green. Once you get those little browny bits in too, and when the brown mixes in the green, it will give a really nice effect. And it brings the picture together if you've used some of the colours that are elsewhere into other parts. That's need to put some more green over here. And I'm just going to come up where the tree, and you just like grasses come up trees, don't they, like that? Okay. Okay, so now I do want to do a wash, just a wash over the entire tree of that lighter brown just to kind of bring it all together again. I'm just using a big brush, and I'm just putting a wash over the whole thing just to push it back a bit before we come in with a fine detail brush and start to put the detail in. Okay, so that's just a way of bringing all the colours together when there's quite a big difference. So that's made a difference. Okay, quickly dry that part off. Okay, so let's get my fine detail brush, and we're going to start on the things that need to be done. So we need to go in on her face, so I'm just going to use the same kind of colour we used on her face, but maybe a little bit darker. Difficult to get it right because you don't want to ruin it. We are going to have to go a little bit darker. I pop in a bit of grey in there. So now we have to draw her, it's her eye up here. You can't really see much, and I'm glad. I don't want it to be too prominent, her facial features, because what can happen is it'll ruin the picture and draw people too much into the facial features when actually that's not really what we're supposed to be looking at. We're looking more at the overall look. Okay, now we're going to go in with that darker brown again, but I'm going to do it with a bit more pigment, and I'm going to be a little bit more purposeful now because we've got some background. Now I'm going to be a bit purposeful with my marks on the tree. So I'm just looking here. There was supposed to be a gap in the tree there, wasn't there? And I've forgotten. Never mind. Too much water on that then. Got a curl there. Looking to see if it looks okay. I think I need to press down on that one. That wasn't so good. Make sure you've got enough paint on there. You should be okay. I'm literally going to go in and draw in the markings on the tree that are on the picture roughly. Okay. I'm not going to be too fussy about it. I'm going to make the end a bit darker there just to show that's the end of the branch. Adding a bit more water to my brush again because it was getting a bit too dry. You want some water on it, but you just don't want to go too mad. Like that was a blob of water on the end then. Don't want that because you'll end up with blotches on your picture. Blotches. Okay. So, just do what you want really. I'm just making it up. But because we kind of smudged the colour of the tree in, it's really helped to put the detail down now. Again, we don't want too much. We don't want the focus to be on the tree. In a minute, we're going to go over her and put her detail in as well, and then she'll be the focus. Right, that will do for now. You can do more than what I've done if you want to, but that's enough. So now I'm going to go in and draw in the leaves on the tree. So it really matter how you do these. Now I'm just literally pushing the paint around. I'm going to water that down just to make it a bit lighter. And yeah, put them wherever you want to put them. Oops. actually it doesn't really matter if there is different shades of the green. You actually want that. And that's under the tree as well, so it will naturally be darker under there. All good. And as you can see, if I add water, it just means I'm able to push it about a bit more easily. Okay, that's nice. Then there is actually a bush down here. Ooh, I'm talking about not making it too watery. There is a bush here behind. I'm just going to paint in green. That just shows behind her that there is a bush over as well. Put some spikes coming out of it so it looks like a bush and not just a blob of green for no reason. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the water now. And I do want to use like an aqua colour. Obviously, I don't want to be too dark. Yeah, that's nice. I've just mixed in a nice aqua colour and I'm just going to put some marks on the page like that. I'm just twisting it so that I can get into it better. And then I'm just going to draw little any kind of shape really, but just keeping it horizontal. And that way it will always feel like it's water. There we are. Almost there. And there as well. And then what you can do is even just wiggle it all the way down. And that really does give it the sense of water. Right, so I'm going to come into the pink again for her dress and just put a few more details in. It does need to be a bit darker than that. Oh, losing my rag. Okay, so we're just drawing some more lines just to give her some more feeling of 3D. Just shows where the dress is and where the shapes are in the dress. There are little curves. And I'm just going to come in quite a bit darker on this side because it is the underside. So we're going to draw in, paint in slightly darker there. Yep. And we need to do the same at the top. If that's the case, it won't look too obvious. And a little bit under her arm here. Just putting that extra layer on helps to give her some more definition. Just now I'm going to go on that underside of her sleeve to add another layer of paint. We want to keep that nice and dark. Okay, I think she's done. Now the wings. So we need to come in with a slightly darker blue. So I'm just going to add in some blue to the sky blue mixture. Now what I might do is maybe add in some of the aqua green as well. So really all we're going to do is add some veins really lightly with our detail brush, just adding some little veins in. You don't have to put them exactly where, oh, it's darker there, isn't it? So I'm going to need, I have managed to get a bit in, but I'm going to need to go darker because her back wing is in the background, which is darker. And here, show that her other wings are here. That one needs to be a bit darker and hidden away. and that one as well. Like that so much better. And then I am going to come in with the aqua green, which is also in the water, because as I say, it's good to use colours from one area of a painting to another. And I'm just going to do some little curly bits, some little blobs on the end, and then maybe add some more on the way down and do some little markings. And that just brings out the detail a bit more in her wings. Okay, I think she's done. Now there are stars and a moon in the background, but I didn't want to do that because I wanted it to be more of a daytime thing. Put some of that in there. Oh, look, there's like a leaf dropped. I think it's done that for a reason. Happy accident. Just do some leaf effects in the tree. That's nice. I like that. I'm just going to fill in that part, make that a bit greener because it was showing watermarks. And then we're just going to come in and do a few more leaf marks to finish it off. When I get going on these things, I just don't know when to stop. Hopefully I haven't ruined it. Because you can go so far and it looks perfect, and then you want to keep going because you're having so much fun, and then you ruin it. We could have some leaf marks down here where the leaves have fallen. Let's just do that, why not? I do feel as though the grass is like a bit too much in a line, so I'm just going to stick some taller ones in the foreground. A bit going over her dress and a bit over here that's longer, just because I felt as though it was too much in a straight line. I don't know if you'd noticed that. And then have a few longer ones here on the end. That's better. A bit more shape. Grass. And it comes over her dress, which is nice because it shows that she is behind the grass. I think we're done. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I mean, you can keep going with it and adding bits to it however you want. In the picture, she's got like flowers in her hair and things, but I'm actually quite happy with the way her hair's turned out. It looks curly, it looks brown, just because of the way the paint landed. So that worked out well. So hope you enjoyed that. Hope you have watched and you're on your second one, and I hope you really enjoy doing it. It's really good just for a sketchbook idea or mindful art, just to sit and have the instruction and have the drawing for you to copy from. You don't really have to think, yeah, just have fun with it. Okay, if you haven't already, please do subscribe, like, comment, and maybe pop over to Patreon and sign up and get all the downloads that I've done. So far I've done 2 months worth, so there are 2 books, 2 sets of downloads. There's summer and there's fairies. I'm still making the fairies videos. They will be released gradually throughout October, and then November will be Christmas and December will be winter.